Something massive just changed for renters across this country. And if you have a lease, a landlord, or even just a monthly utility bill, what happened in the last few weeks could hit your wallet harder than anything you've seen in years. We're talking about 6 separate shifts, rent control rollbacks, tenant protection laws, utility subsidy changes, eviction rule rewrites, credit reporting updates for renters, and a brand new federal housing assistance program that almost nobody is talking about. Most of this never made the front page. Most of it didn't trend on social media. But every single one of these changes has a direct dollar amount attached to your life, your home, and your financial stability. So here is exactly what happened, what it means for you personally, and the specific steps you can take right now to protect yourself. Stay with me, because the last item on this list is the one that's going to surprise you the most. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button right now. This channel covers renter rights, housing policy, and financial changes that affect everyday people. And we drop new updates every single week. You cannot afford to miss one. Let's start with the one that's already active and already affecting monthly budgets in at least 32 states. On July 9th, a federal housing policy review concluded that the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, the one that kept millions of renters from eviction during the pandemic, is being officially wound down and restructured. This isn't a rumor. The final disbursement windows are closing. If you or someone you know has an outstanding ERA application or a pending balance, you have a shrinking window to claim it. We're talking about an average unclaimed benefit of roughly $640 per eligible household. That is real money sitting on a table that is being folded up and moved away. The number to call to check your specific state status is 1-800-569-4287. Write that down. Call it this week. Now here's where it gets more complicated and more important. At the same time this wind down was confirmed, a new proposed rental assistance framework called the Stable Homes Act was introduced in the Senate on July 11th. Here's what you need to understand about this bill. It would create a permanent, income-adjusted rental subsidy for households spending more than 30% of their gross income on rent. According to the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, that's approximately 49% of all renters in the United States right now. Nearly half of everyone renting a home. The bill proposes a direct payment structure, not a voucher, not a landlord-only disbursement. Money that could go directly to qualifying renters. The average projected benefit based on current cost modeling sits at approximately $212 per month for households in the 30 to 50% income bracket. Now, is this law yet? No. Is it guaranteed to pass? Absolutely not. But it is currently in committee, it has bipartisan co-sponsors, and the housing crisis pressure that's been building since 2021 is giving it more momentum than any similar proposal in the last decade. You need to know this bill exists. You need to know your senator's position on it. And we will be tracking every vote. But something else happened on July 11th that is already law, and it's already working against renters in 6 states. 4 states, Georgia, Texas, Montana, and Wyoming, have now completed full preemption of local rent stabilization ordinances. That means if your city had any form of rent control or rent stabilization, it is now legally void at the state level. 2 more states, Florida and South Carolina, have passed updated preemption language that makes it nearly impossible for cities to introduce new stabilization measures before 2027. What does this mean in plain terms? Your landlord now has significantly fewer legal constraints on how much they can raise your rent at lease renewal. In Metro Atlanta alone, market analysts are projecting average rent increases of between 14 and 22% on lease renewals over the next 12 months. That's not a national average. That's a real number tied to a real market where real people are going to open a renewal letter and feel their stomach drop. If you are in one of these 6 states, you need to know your exact lease renewal date. You need to request your renewal terms in writing at least 60 days before expiration. And you need to understand that negotiating from a position of knowledge is your only leverage right now. Here's something that almost no one is covering, and it directly affects your credit score. On July 14th, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau finalized new guidance on how rent payment history can be reported to the 3 major credit bureaus. Here's the shift. For years, renters who paid on time every single month got essentially 0 credit benefit, while a missed payment could damage their score for years. The new guidance strongly incentivizes landlords and property management companies to report positive rent payment history, not just negative. If your landlord or property manager is enrolled in one of the approved reporting platforms, and there are now 11 of them, your on-time rent payments can actively build your credit score the same way a mortgage payment would. The average credit score improvement for renters with 12 months of reported on-time payments is estimated at 40 to 60 points. For someone trying to qualify for a car loan, a personal line of credit, or eventually a mortgage, that is a transformational number. The question is your landlord enrolled? You need to ask. You need to ask in writing. And if they aren't enrolled, you have the right to self-report through authorized platforms like Experian Rent Bureau or Rental Karma. The CFPB's Renter Assistance Line is 1-855-411-2372. They will walk you through your specific options at no cost. Now let's talk about utilities, because this is the piece that's about to blindside the most people. A provision buried inside a broader energy reconciliation discussion would phase out the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, known as LIHEAP, funding increases that were introduced in 2021. The phase-out timeline runs through December of this year. For renters who qualify for LIHEAP, the average annual benefit has been approximately $530 in heating and cooling cost assistance. When that funding reverts to pre-2021 levels, the average qualifying household is projected to lose approximately $280 in annual utility support. That's not a dramatic number until you're on a fixed budget, until summer cooling bills arrive, until you're choosing between medication and electricity. If you currently receive LIHEAP benefits, contact your state energy office now to understand your eligibility timeline before the funding recalibration hits. If you've never applied, apply now before the window narrows. Visit liheap.acf.hhs.gov or call 1-866-674-6327. We're almost at the final item, and this is the one I promised you'd want to hear about. On July 16th, a new pilot program called the Renter Equity Initiative was quietly launched in partnership with 3 major metropolitan housing authorities: Chicago, Phoenix, and Baltimore. Here is what this program actually does. It allows long-term renters, specifically renters who have lived in the same unit for 5 or more consecutive years without a major lease violation, to accumulate equity credits that can be applied toward a future down payment on a home purchase. Think of it as a renter loyalty program with real financial teeth. After 5 years of eligible continuous tenancy, a renter can accumulate up to $8,000 in equity credit. After 10 years, that number jumps to $17,500. Those credits are transferable to any participating mortgage lender within a 48-month window of lease exit. Is this available everywhere? Not yet, but the pilot is specifically designed to generate data that could support a national rollout bill currently being drafted, and the 3 cities chosen were selected because their renter populations are statistically representative of the national renter profile. If you are in Chicago, Phoenix, or Baltimore, contact your local housing authority this week. The program is first come, first enrolled. And if you're not in one of those cities, pay attention, because this is coming to your market faster than you think. Here's what I want you to take away from everything we just covered. You are not just a renter. You are a financial stakeholder in one of the most turbulent housing policy moments in American history. The ERA wind down means unclaimed money is disappearing right now. The Stable Homes Act means a major new benefit is potentially on the way. The state preemptions mean your rent ceiling may have just been legally removed. The CFPB guidance means your rent payments can finally work for you instead of just for your landlord. The LIHEAP phase-down means your utility buffer is shrinking. And the Renter Equity Initiative means that for the first time, renting can actually build toward ownership in a structured, government-backed way. Every one of these items has a dollar amount. Every one of them has a deadline or a status window. And every single one of them will be updated on this channel the moment something changes. Subscribe now. Hit the notification bell, because the next update is already in motion, and the renters who act on accurate, timely information are the ones who come out of this period ahead. The ones who don't, they find out 6 months later when the letter arrives and the window is already closed. Don't be that person. You're already here. You're already paying attention. That already puts you ahead. Now stay ahead.